We chose a bag over a man. We chose to not have our children. We would rather have a bunch of money than have our children have a father in the home.
I disagree.
No. You have to know the history. This is proven fact.
History.
No,
men were not able to work and provide for their families. We were forced to take the government check.
That's false.
They couldn't stay in the house if they were there.
That's false.
Then how were they going to feed the children? And where was
the children were fed? Women were greedy
because it was coming from the government.
No. Let's get this clear.
Home, he wouldn't be employed.
Black women wanted to be like white women in the Cosmopolitan magazine. The woman who started Cosmopolitan magazine, the main editor, she's now a Catholic, and she repented from what she did. She said we were teaching women because we wanted all women to feel that we had a gripe with white men. And so, this is public knowledge. You look it up on YouTube.
She talked about it.
Yes, absolutely. They wanted black women to also be part of their movement in other races because it wasn't enough. The black woman and the black man had to stay together in the U.S. because it was the only way for us to overcome. What they did was with Cosmo, they lied. These were women that would say, you know what, this is a single woman, moved to New York. She's sleeping with different men. She has her life. She has her own money, her education. She's getting these jobs. These women were promoting promiscuity and living a certain lifestyle when they were all married. They were all lying and making up these people because it was supposed to be a fantasy magazine. But women were taken as gospel and real. And so what happened is black women saw the white woman as pinnacle, because we're not going into colorism and all that. That's not what this show is about. But we saw the white woman as what to strive for as black women. We're saying these white women are free. These white women are independent. These white women don't need no man. I don't need mine. He's not doing enough. He's not good enough as a black man, when our entire lives, how we came out of everything we did in the U.S. was through the black man and black woman coming together. So we allowed these women and these corporations who wanted to make money off of our backs, and they knew that we had a insecurity about being dark, about being black, and we wanted to strive to the higher societies because white women were seen as the highest. So we think we want to be like white women, get our education, do this, do that, when those women were lying even to other white women. They were lying to us as black women. So then the government stepped in. There's whole documentaries about this on black history, and I mean, black historians will not refute this. This is what we all know as gospel in our communities. So what you're saying right here is black children, when we were being provided for, but it wasn't enough. We wanted to be like white women, and we had greed in our eyes. We had envy in our eyes, and we're like, I don't need no black man. I can do better. I can do bad all by myself. And so our children, it's a fault.
Shalom. We're back with another lesson. So before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach, to the apostles and elders of the great millstone who rule well. I'd like to give double honor. Shalom to the 144,000, to the 1/3, to the hopeful elect. Shalom. We're here with a lesson. I think I'm going to call the forbidden fruit. The devil used to beguile Eve. And as you've seen in this video clip, they went into that women liberation BS that our women wholeheartedly took as gospel and ran with it, thus helping destroy the so-called black family. And this woman articulated it was all a lie. Somehow they got Eve to believe that her man was oppressing her, and she can do better, and it will be, and she can live a better life without having a man around. Which, after generations of hearing this fucking dribble, our people is in the position they in today. Now, ultimately, we know that it was the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Awashai that our women would turn on us because of what we did to him. With Israel being the woman of the Lord, we turned on him numerous amount of times. So in this last captivity, the Lord made us feel that it's the same exact pain that we were causing him whenever we went a whoring with different nations and different gods. And we seen that through this doctrine, as this woman articulated, Now the other Eve try to come in where the kids got fed because of the government. Yeah. And y'all bought right into that bullshit. She ain't mentioned how they started taking away the jobs out the so-called black man's neighborhood and made it harder for them to get jobs. How I remember at one point they were like, in high school you can get a degree in automotive and things like that, and they end up taking that out of the school. So they made it very hard for the so-called black man to start providing for his family, not just through taking jobs and education away, but also certain laws. I mean, you got Jim Crow laws, things like that. But Eve don't see that. Why? Because Eve want to be independent, just like she did in the garden when the serpent tempted her with that so-called apple. All right, we're going to go there to Genesis chapter 3. We're going to start at the top. Now the serpent, who was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahweh power had made, and had said unto the woman, yea, had Yahweh said, ye shall not eat of every tree in the garden? Question mark. See that serpent being slick. When the Lord say you can eat it on every tree in the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yahweh said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And here comes the slick ass serpent. And the serpent said to the woman, ye shall not die, ye shall not surely die. And that's that doctrine. That doctrine of what's that word? Disobedience. The doctrine of disobedience. And they came with it, as this woman was showing in the video, with that same doctrine. Turned Eve disobedient to her man. As the woman said, you had the so-called white women sitting up there talking about how a woman can move to the city and she can sleep with any man she wants, and she can make her own money and education and all the fun she was having. And Eve, being the weaker sex, weaker in the terms of mentally and spiritually, fell for that trick and ran right there with it. So the serpent came back through the so-called white man, who we know is descendant of Esau. Then that goes back to Cain. And came and got Eve with that same simple ass doctrine. You don't have to have your man. We got you. We'll provide for you. All kind of government assistance, all kind of programs, food stamp, welfare. You got what they call that, alimony after divorces, things like that. That set Eve up to the point to where she is now, and she think everything she do is what's up. That she has no fault. Eve had become high-minded because she done took on the ways of the serpent. She done ingested his doctrine, his apple, that forbidden fruit that they love to taste on so much. Verse 5, for Yahweh doeth know that the days ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as God, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree that desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave it unto her husband with her, and he did eat. See, so she took that doctrine. It looked good to her, just like it looked good to Eve now. What Eve don't need a man. What Eve can do whatever the hell she want to do. What Eve would be in the front. She would be the breadwinner. She would be the leader of the household. Eve took that, man. Took it and ran with it. And like I said, generations after generation of this bullshit, this is what we got now. This is why the so-called black community is so destroyed. Through the weakness of the woman. Remember the scripture said with Eve that would beguiled. Yeah. She got food. Not Adam. Adam just being a man, falling in behind some tail, he got caught up. But it was the serpent went after Eve because she was that weaker spirit. And through that, now we have to where the women no longer need the man for anything. Let them tell it. All right, this is Jeremiah 31:22. How long thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? Question mark. The Lord asking them a question. For the Lord had created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall come past a man. And through the doctrine that Esau Edom was pushing, feminism, women's right, and all those things, now the women had come past a man. The Lord had it to where if a woman wanted to learn anything, she would learn through her husband. She would be a keeper at home and learn anything she needed to know through her husband. Even if she had questions, she would go through her husband. Her husband would go through the proper channels to educate her than what we see today. So now, the Lord put the spirit on Esau Edom to bring about things like the women's right movement and all those other kind of wicked and evil decrees that Esau Edom was pushing. Does help destroying our women and then destroyed our people. Why? Because they thinking we're equal or greater to our men. And that's that doctrine. That's that fruit that the serpent persuaded Eve with. Now most of our women got that thinking that, well, we don't need a man. I'm better than him. He need me. I mean, you go on social media, you have women sitting there hollering, yeah, it's men looking for us for money, and all they want is our money and looking for us to take care of them. No, baby, that's the man you choose. A real man ain't looking for no woman for no money. But some of that also be in their mind. Why? Because they believe they are the men now. They believe they are the provider. But that's why a lot of them smoking weed or taking all kind of medicines to help mentally move them forward, because they done bought into that fruit and realized it's rotten. And now they're sick mentally, spiritually, because they done moved past what the Lord has set for them to be a helpmeet to their men. But now that they gotta work like men, remember, Adam's punishment from the Lord was to tend to the field, was to work the field. And the woman really was just childbearing and the help. But now with Esau Edom in this women's right bullshit, the women are working the field when they're wanting their punishment. Now a lot of them are mentally messed up because they realize that's not what I was meant to do. But through these kind of doctrines, our women was able to come past a man, thus become whores and harlots. Because as the woman said, they pushed that idea of a woman moving to the city and basically laying up with every man she wanted to. This is Amos 7:17. Therefore thus says Yahweh power, thy wife shall be a harlot in the city, and thy son and thy daughter shall fall by the sword, and the land shall be divided by lion, and thou shalt die in a polluted land. And Israel shall surely go into captivity forth of his land. And through those doctrines, our women have become harlots, whores, high-minded, looking at things as they can do what they want. That's why the so-called black community have such high rates of STDs. But all this go back to the serpent and his beguile of Eve with a doctrine of disobedience. All Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua did would bring back that same doctrine through Esau Edom, who is you can say a spiritual descendant of the serpent. And Eve had brought right back into that doctrine of disobedience. And now look at them. The community, the so-called black community, is destroyed. I mean, take a look at that Texas rodeo thing that they not Texas, Houston rodeo that they not too long ago had. They're like, after that 42,000 cases of new STD people had shown up. And as I was watching the brothers from Chicago, like they said, that's only what they telling you. That number can be far greater. Because Esau Edom is not going to tell you the complete truth. He'll tell you some stuff, but just not the complete truth. And that come through what? Eve being able to come past a man, which makes them harlots. And what's a harlot? A prostitute. And Eve don't even get paid for it. She just out there slanging box like a slave picking cotton. Which shows you they have no care for themselves, and neither do the men. Because you don't know, they didn't know none of these women, and you sitting there laying up with them, going raw in them. That shows you, man. But Eve been given liberty here through those doctrines to liberate her from her man, through the belief that she don't need her man anymore. And thus, she destroyed herself through that liberty that Esau Edom and his doctrines had given her. All right. This is Ecclesiastes, Salaki. This is Sirach 26:10. If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. Yeah, and that's the point. Liberty. And we look up this word liberty, the state of being free, encompassing both the absence of arbitrary external constraints like imprisonment or government oppression, and the ability to exercise rights and make choices within a lawful society. But the point is that state of being free. And that's how Eve look at it. She been free from her man. She been free from the control of her man, which in captivity, none of us had any freedom, man. Esau Edom had us both with our neck down and foot on our neck and doing all kind of wickedness against us. But like Eve tell him, they go back. Okay, the black woman was oppressed by the black man. How? We both were getting hung from our neck. We both were getting destroyed. You can go back through history. Go look it up. They weren't just killing the so-called black woman and leading the man to go on his way. No. When they grab one of us, they grab all of us. But, like I said, just like Eve was beguiled, so was the so-called black woman. She was beguiled by these doctrines, by the ways of Esau Edom. Now she done destroyed herself through overmuch liberty. Salaki. And we're going to end out here in Zechariah 13:8. And it shall come to pass that all the land, says Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third therein, and the third shall, but the third shall be left therein, Salakin. And ultimately, most of our people are made up with more women than men. So the Lord gonna have to destroy 2/3 of our people, especially our women, because you can't bring that kind of mindset into the kingdom. You can't bring a mindset of the women are over the men. I mean, it's not even equal no more. They literally think they're over their men. As the scripture said, they come past us. The women rule over us. That kind of mindset is not what Yahweh Bashim Hawashai had. Because the man who has the seed is ultimately who Yahweh Bashim Hawashai is dealing with. So he cannot have that in the kingdom. So 2/3 of our people, which there are more women than men, will have to be destroyed and brought back through the loins of the righteous. That basically reprogram them in a righteous sense. Because, man, we tired of Eve on this side. I be damn we going to the kingdom where we're supposed to be at rest and everything supposed to be built great for us. And we got to hear a loud mouth as Eve telling us what she will and won't do. No, sir. No, sir. We can't have that. But Lord willing, the kingdom come faster because we tired of that shit now. But I hope this lesson was edifying. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.